Can we talk real quick about this concept of a fair price for like goods? I want to be really clear that I'm not talking about essential goods to live. I'm not talking about food or healthcare or things like that. Like there's a whole nuanced conversation around that. But I'm just talking about like if I am an artisan and I make like a mug or something and someone else comes to my shop and they say, well, that price isn't fair. That's a ridiculous price. That's the concept I'm talking about. Because I feel like a fair price is anything the person wants to set. Like they just get to set that price. If I come across a mug and it's $1,000, I'm just gonna be like, oh, well that mug's too expensive. I'm gonna keep scrolling. But if that person who spent the time making that mug is like, I don't care if I never sell a single mug. Maybe I only sell 2 mugs in my entire life, but the heart, sweat, and tears that I put into this, I will only feel great about selling it if I get $1,000 in return. I actually think that's kind of a radically beautiful assessment of how much they value themselves. And I, as a consumer, I just keep scrolling. Like I don't have to do that. And again, this is not about essential goods that people need to live. Okay? That's a different conversation. If anyone in the comment section comes for me about that, I'm just gonna delete it. I'm not gonna be upset about it. I'm just gonna delete it. But I feel like sometimes people get upset. Like consumers will get an emotional reaction to prices not being fair in that way. Of like, and this is also not about taxes. It's not about tariffs. It's about a person setting a price for their goods. And here's 3 things I think are happening. First, some people just don't, like, they want a thing and there's a barrier to the thing they want and they don't have the emotional regulation skills to like not get really upset about, well, I want that and I should be able to have it. Like, I don't know, sometimes I think that might be like on the very base level a little bit what's happening. Second thing is that people feel entitled to stuff sometimes. Like there's a million mugs out there. Some people are selling mugs for $3 a pop, right? There's a million mugs out there, but they want that specific one and they should be able to have that specific one. And if it's out of their price range, that's wrong. Like that's a whole nother thing. And then people will come up with all kinds of reasons behind that, but nothing more complicated is happening is that beyond they feel entitled to it. Again, this is not talking about essential goods and services. And then the third thing that I think happens, I don't know if we talk about this third one enough, is they're not actually mad about the first 2, or maybe they are, but the biggest thing is that they know that that person setting that price is a reflection of how much they value themselves. And they, if they were making a mug, would never dream of allowing themselves to value their time and labor and thing that they made at that price. And because they would never allow themselves to do it, they're resentful that someone else is. And that's inner work. That's more about you giving yourself permission to actually value yourself more than what you do right now. That's the part that I don't feel like we talk about enough. When we feel resentful in that way of other people's prices, maybe check in with yourself and be like, am I so mad at this other person's prices? Because how dare they value, if part of your reaction to someone else's price includes the words, how dare they? I actually think there's a lot of internal work that you could be doing. Because you wouldn't say, how dare they? If it was just too expensive, you would keep scrolling and find a different mug. Be like, oh, well, that one's too expensive. And you would find something else. But the how dare they is more about, I would never give myself permission to value myself that highly. I don't think I'm allowed to. But what if you could value yourself at a radically high level? I think it is an act of beautiful, radical rejection of the devaluing that happens in our culture to put a high price tag on some of those things that we make. Not because that's what the materials cost. That's not because we evaluated the time it took to make it against the current minimum wage. But just because if I were to give up this thing, if I were to provide this thing for other people, the number that to me subjectively feels good is X. whatever that is. And that's more a reflection of how much you value yourself in comparison with your needs. Right? Also, this is not a post about billionaires. If someone comes to me about and starts like, well, can we, like, no, let's put some guardrails on this conversation, okay? It's not a post about billionaires. But just in the, like, artisan market or in the exchange of goods in that way, I'm really curious what people think and what your reactions are. Keep them respectful, but yeah, I'm curious.